I want to say happy Wednesday to you. Today is a fantastic day. It's a day that we are going to look at and probably make some positive decisions to move and advance our business as we go along. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and look at some things here today that's going to require us to apply some things so that we are experts. And I know experts can be a scary word for some of us. It could be a word that we hear thrown around. We might not consider ourselves experts, but I want to encourage you that you have what it takes to be the go-to person in your niche, in your marketplace, for your buyers, sellers, investors, and even other realtors to seek you out. And that is our goal. Now, the very first thing that I want to bring to you all's attention is the quality of training that your team, that Bobby, Memo, and the entire London Foster team has brought to you. And it's not because I'm arrogant. It is because I want you all to understand the value that they intentionally seek out, whether it's me or when Janet's going to bring someone in for the inspections. I want you all to see. So this right here is a Residential Real Estate Council, CRS, celebration that's taking place in Nashville in 2 weeks. And this content that I created for you all has been requested by RRC to be shared with what they consider the most prestigious designation next to GRI in the country. So I want you to understand what we're doing here today. This is fresh material. This is fresh content that I created just for you all. And then NAR and RRC, they have requested this to be shared with the top agents in the country. So what that means is when Bobby and Vaslov and Memo and Joe and the entire team are telling you to go to the back office to look at the training videos, it's because they know that applied knowledge and training are going to make all of the difference in your business. So be intentional. We're going to cover a lot of information in a little bit of time. It would be unreasonable for me to expect you to grab everything and to remember. That's why you have access to the back office. So make sure that we go in and get that information. So now it is time for us to dive into this journey to look at what does it mean to go from A to D. No, this is not Amazon. It is not A to Z. It is from A to D. So here's what it means. It means that right now we have to make a decision. Are we going to choose the red pill or the blue pill? Are we going to stay in the ranks of the mediocre many, or are we going to join the elite few? Are we going to be lost in the shuffle, or are we going to stand above, especially during this time in our industry? Because here's what I'm going to tell you, and you have probably witnessed this over the past, I'm going to say 5 to 7 months, that things have gotten a little out of control. So we have agents saying all type of things. We have litigation and, just what we consider problems knocking at our door. And the decision must be made. Am I going to go the easy route, or am I going to be different? And here's what A is. A is not any particular or certain one of a class or group. A is nondescript. And if you're like me, you're probably a visual learner. When you tell people that you are a real estate agent, you're a realtor, you're a real estate professional, this is probably what they see. They just see you as a real estate agent, a real estate professional, one of many. In this script, there's nothing that separates you from their cousin who just got their license yesterday, right? So we have to decide how we're going to go from A to the. And here's why it's so important for us to be the. Because the word the is used to mark a noun as indicating the best known, most approved, most important, or most satisfying. I don't know about you, but for me in my business, if I can go from a realtor to the realtor of choice, that now means that I stand out in the crowd, that I don't have to look for buyers, sellers, prospects, customers, clients, what's happening? They are recognizing me because I am best known, most approved, most important, or most satisfying. And now this is our goal. And I will admit it's easy for me to put a picture on the screen and say, hey, here's what we aspire to be. But here's what the truth is. The truth is that buyers and sellers, they want to work with the best. They want to work with an expert. And here's what an expert is. So we have A, B, but our goal is to stand out and position ourselves as expert. A person who has a comprehensive and authoritative knowledge of or skill in a particular area. So let me ask you, are you an expert at what you do? Right? Are you considered having comprehensive and authoritative knowledge? Are you skilled at negotiating? Are you skilled at the pricing process of walking buyers through the buying and the home purchase process? And here's the real question that I want you to ask yourself, because Neal can't answer this question for you. If you are not an expert, why not? I mean, because if we're being honest, I know Memo talked about it earlier, is that there are too many resources available to us, to you and I. Joe mentioned the advancement of technology. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, we have the whole world in our hands. So we can learn and position ourselves as experts if we choose to be. And I want you to see how an expert is perceived, or what it takes to be an expert. So the first thing that we are going to have to do, I want you to look on the left side of the screen where everything looks the same, where there is nothing that pops out. This is how many of us are going about our real estate careers. We are trying to be everything to everyone. Our goal, our job. Today, what we're going to start learning and start applying after our time together is how are we going to identify our tribe? How are we going to know what those that we look to serve are asking for? If this is my person right here, what are their fears? What are their concerns? What keeps them up at night? Because if I can figure out the skill or the knowledge that's needed, or be comprehensive enough to hone in so that I am an authority, not about everyone's issue, but just a few. If I can be famous for a few and then they become raving fans for me, guess what we call that? We call that a win. Because here's what the expert is seen as. The expert, and your goal, your job, ladies and gentlemen, is not to sell real estate. If I may be frank with you, you all have the same problem that I continue to have. I am really good, oftentimes, at the wrong things. We're really good at helping people buy and sell real estate. We're really good at marketing a property. However, that's not what our goal is to be in order to join those top producers that Joe, Memo have mentioned. How do we get there? We must be perceived as an authority figure. Now, what I'm going to share, it is not the traditional way to get to the top, but it is the way that the most effective, most efficient, and most influential get to the top, and that's by becoming an expert. And so the question that we must ask is, are you having influence with your database, with your sphere of influence, with your family, with your colleagues? When someone thinks of London Foster, here's how you know if you have influence. When your people think of London Foster, do they think of Bobby or do they think of you? When they think of home buying process, even title work, do they think of you or are they thinking of Janet? Because until we get to the point where we have influence, we will not have success. Okay, so your job is not to know how to take photos. It's not to know everything about the home inspection. Janet's going to make sure that we know enough with the CE class so that we can have influence with our people. So as we go through this, here's the hierarchy that I want you thinking about. I want to increase my influence so I can increase my success. the more success we have, then we will position ourselves as and we become the expert in our area. So here's how we do this. So first, we must choose a niche because the old saying is that niches bring riches. And if or when you choose a niche, your sole job in that niche is not to sell a house, is not to help buyers. Your job is to do that niche better than it's ever been done. So my first question to the family here is, have you selected a niche? And I'm going to tell you, I know it's scary to potentially refuse or turn away business, but it has the opposite effect. I only specialize in waterfront or waterfront single family or single family homes with acreage. Now you're saying, Neal, you're probably missing out on a lot of business. No, I'm not. Why? Because once you identify yourself as the expert in a specific niche, you can go really deep in the information, the skills, and the knowledge that you have and share, and then you can position yourself as the authority figure. So that's going to be our goal as we move from A to D. Now, here's what I will tell you. There are two ways, well, there are probably more than two ways, but I'm a realtor, so I like to keep things simple. So we're going to break it down to two ways. There's a hard way, and then there is the easy way. And it's up to us which way we're going to choose to travel. So this is the hard way. If I tell you that we want to go from A to D, this might be your idea. You're saying, man, I've got to learn more technology. I have to get the skills and know every script. I've got to make sure that I know every property of every style in my neighborhood. Well, can I tell you, that's the hard way. Could you make it there? Absolutely. But this is the way that I like to travel. I like to travel on the easy road. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if I can tell you, this is the road less traveled. This is the road that most of our colleagues find themselves on. They find themselves doing too much, too often, and missing their exit. But when you start traveling on the easy road, not only is it easier for you, it's easier for your clients, prospects, customers to identify you as the expert. So what does it take to be the best of the best? Here's where we look at a few simple things for you and I to implement. And I will tell you this, it's my belief in 2025, with everything going on around us, politically, economically, internationally, globally, personally, I believe that it's easier to position yourself as an expert than it has ever been before. Number one, we have access to more tools and more information than we've ever had. Number two, a lot of our colleagues, our peers, are on the sideline doing nothing. And then number three, a lot of people are doing the same things, and those same things are ineffective. And so if you decide today that I'm not going to be afraid, that I am going to be more me, that I'm not going to follow the herd of followers, I believe that you're going to be able to position yourself as the best of the best. Now, here's where the work begins. So the first challenge is to decide or to ask yourself, hey, am I an expert? And we must answer that question honestly. If you're not an expert, why aren't you an expert? Right? Those are two questions. Hey, am I an expert? No. Why not? That's the second one. And then one of the most pivotal questions that we must ask, do I believe I'm capable of achieving expert status? Because if you don't believe, no matter how much I, Memo, Bobby, John, or the team believes that you can be an expert, that your sales can be reflective of someone who is an authority in this niche or in this market, it's not going to matter. So once you believe that you can be an expert, this is where the work begins. And so now we're going to start looking at some of those applicable items or things that we can do to position ourselves as experts. The first thing, you and I, we must, after choosing our niche, we must do that niche better than anyone that has ever done it before. We must know everything about that marketplace. So what does that mean? That means that we are going to have to come in and know all about the market. So I'm going to ask you, are you using and leveraging tools like RPR? Are you using the National Association of Realtors market stats and information pages? Or if you're in Florida, are you using the floridarealtors.org with the info and stats? If not, you are making it easier for others to be on the easy road and you're taking the hard path. And so this is RPR. Hopefully, we're all familiar with RPR. So when it comes to knowing market data, it's something as simple as coming in, and this is what I will say. If you have questions about RPR, do not go to your London Foster team. Do not. They have other things that they're working on, that they're building. I'm going to encourage you to come to RPR and come under Learn, or go to the association. We are business owners. It's your job. As much as Bobby, Memo, John, Joe, all of them love you, it's not their job to make sure that you are a capable business owner. They're giving you all the tools. They're putting all the work in on the back end to make your life easy. Let's at least rise above and study to show ourselves approved. So if you have questions about RPR, go to RPR. If you have questions about Zillow or the Florida Realtors, go to them. It's really going to help you, and it's going to position you as an expert. So here's what I'm just going to do. Just really quickly, I want you all to see how quick I can become an expert in a zip code like this with just a couple clicks of the button. Or a couple clicks of the mouse. So I come in, I'm looking in Fort Lauderdale. It immediately is going to tell me that the 316 is going to be a buyer's market. If I'm only looking for single family homes like I do, I could change that to single family. If I want to position myself as an expert, ladies and gentlemen, I must know month supply of inventory, median days on market, and the list price to sales price ratio. Guess what RPR does for me? It's telling me all of this information right here. This is how we study to show ourselves approved. This is also why I'm telling you it's easier than ever before to be perceived as an expert. And even better, RPR has a mobile app. Now, I'm not an advocate or a paid advertiser for RPR. I just know that we all have access to it, regardless of our marketplace, regardless of the niche that we choose. This is going to help us. And when we think about positioning ourselves as experts and being an authority, we're going to use this create script to come up with blog posts, video scripts. Maybe it's going to be for your social media. So just come in here. You'll see this create script. We're not going to spend any time on it in this training, but come to RPR, go up there into the Learn, and that's going to help you. To position yourself as an expert, it might be through NAR, where we're coming in and doing research and stats. Ladies and gentlemen, I am just going to encourage all of you. I know they've uploaded a lot of these reports into the back office for you. Go in and look at them. So if it's going to be international real estate, the home buyers and home sellers for different marketplaces in different zip codes, I'm telling you, you can't find much better information than has been made available to us from RPR or from the NAR.realtor. So those are two sites, two sources I want you all to lean on heavily. If and when you do, here's what we know. If you sow the right seed, you have to reap the right fruit, right? So if you sow cantaloupe, I'm from the country, I'm from Alabama. If you sow cantaloupe, what are you going to get? You're going to get cantaloupe. You're not going to get watermelon. So if we put the right energy in, if we do the right things, we are going to get the right results. So now we're going to continue quickly. And the reason I'm moving at the pace that I am is I want to make sure that we cover all of the info But then at the end, I want to make it easier for Vaslav when he does the editing, right? When he goes through and has to chop things up. If you all have questions, make sure you all write those down, and then we will come back to those outside of the recording. And on that note, I want you all thinking, as you become an expert, as you become the in any niche, not only do you want to become the best, but if you can become attractive by making everyone else's job easier, they're always going to want you around. If you can make the home selling process easier for your seller, they're going to tell people, she made this process so stress-free. If you can work with buyers and make it easier, less stressful for them, they're going to tell their friends, man, he is awesome. I didn't even feel like I was buying a house. I thought I was just taking a stroll in a field. So there are 4 R's that experts always remember. There are 4 R's that we live, that we walk through, that we keep on top of mind. That first R is to be ready. No matter where you are, what you're doing, who you encounter, you must always be ready. And what does ready look like? Ready looks like you're standing in line at Panera Bread and someone is talking about real estate behind you. And they might say, the housing market sucks right now. And you say, well, I'm sorry, I'm a realtor. What makes you think that? Well, because my home value, I'm underwater. Well, how do you know? Ready means you know where to go in and do a quick CMA, or what we call a POV, a professional opinion of value. Ready means that if you're in a specific zip code and someone asks you about the market, you know your scripts and dialogues. Ready means that if a home seller were to call you right now, you would know exactly what your calendar looks like so you could go ahead and schedule that marketing consultation. So we must always be ready. After ready, it is important that we are resourceful. It doesn't mean that I have to know everything about title. What it does mean is that I need to have Janet's info in my phone so that when I am asked a question that I don't understand, I can call Janet. I can send her a quick message. Because when you're ready and resourceful, I don't need you to know every market stat. I just need you to know where to get it. Do you know a great home inspector? Do you know a lender that might work with different segments or sections or types of loans, whether it's going to be jumbo, non-conforming, or a typical conventional FHA, maybe first-time buyer assistance, right? Are you resourceful in knowing the right people? So after you are ready and resourceful, this third R is one that we are experiencing today in the market, and that is resilient. The only word that I can use to explain or to describe the real estate industry is crazy. So it doesn't matter if it's good times, bad times. The industry is still crazy. Why is that? Because we have people, we deal with human beings. So there's going to require resilience on your part. I think of every transaction as a roller coaster, and I explain it to my buyers or sellers. We're on a thrilling roller coaster. Your job is to enjoy the highs. Let me endure the lows. Let me handle as much stress as I can, as many problems and issues. But what does that mean? That means that you and I, we must be unflappable. We cannot stress when others are stressed. When they are running frantic, we must have resilience. Many of our brothers and sisters, they are getting out of the industry. At the end of this month, many people are not going to renew their licenses. Why? Because the resilience has waned. They are burned out. And then finally, to be an expert, this last R right over here, we must be remembered. And we want to be remembered for the right things. It's not enough to be remembered because I wear a bow tie or because I have a hat or I'm the dog or cat guy. I must be remembered for exceptional service. And if you are not remembered for exceptional service, you are probably going to be forgotten about when it comes times for repeat business or referrals. So your job right here is to be a superstar. Now, many of you have gotten into the real estate industry because you care about people. You want to help. Maybe you yourself went through an experience and you had a lackluster professional, or should I say agent, on the other side. And now you're saying, well, Neal, I don't really care about the limelight. I don't need the superstardom. May I dare to challenge that? I need you to be a superstar. I need you to shine so bright that every potential buyer, seller identifies you. And why do I need this? Because the industry and the general public needs to know that the knowledgeable, that the moral, that the professional experts are in the game. Because you have a responsibility to your potential buyers, sellers, to your brokers, to the industry, to make sure that the good guys win. And so if we have a potential buyer or seller who's working with someone who is not above board, guess whose fault that is? It's ours. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, right now that there are buyers, sellers, investors. There are agents right now looking to send a referral to you. They just don't know that you exist. They don't know that you're as good as you are. Now, if you are not yet to the expert level, if you don't know your market stats, if you aren't skilled in negotiating or know your niche, let's get good first. But once we're good, what are we going to do? We're going to lose that false humility and we're going to tell everyone, hey, I'm really good at this. In fact, I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best. I believe that I can not only meet, but exceed your expectations. Because here's what we want. We want raving fans. We want people throwing us little hearts in real estate with everything that we do. And here's my question to you today on this morning. Do your buyers, sellers, prospect, and I don't like to say past clients, but the people you have previously helped, do they love you? Are they bragging about your services? Are they coming in and saying, I know that she's good, that she's the best, that if you don't use her, if you don't use him, you're either leaving money on the table or you paid too much? If not, we've got to change our directive. We have to change our position, because the more fans that you have, the easier your road to expert is going to be. And so here's how we create this thing called fandom or stardom, how we create that loyal following. The first thing that we must do, we must understand that everything we do is a reflection on us, right? So your marketing is a reflection on you. The condition of your car or your marketing material, what is seen online on all of your social media profiles, that is a reflection on you. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no difference between personal and professional. You are one being. If I see your personal page and it makes me say, ugh, I would like to drink with him, but I won't let him sell my house, guess what? It is not good enough. We must always be trying to get those hearts from the people that we work with. Some of us try to be one thing in public, but something else in private. Well, if you haven't learned from all of the data breaches and everything else, with one click of a button, everything can become public, even if we don't want it to, right? So we must be careful, because we are always under that watchful eye of our potential buyers and sellers. So right here, we are going to see now, I think, who are you? And this is where we get into that expert status. Who are you? Because many of us are saying, well, hey, I'm a real estate agent, but we don't know how that fits into who we are. So we are stuck doing the wrong things that we're seeing everyone else doing. And this is where we start to differentiate ourselves. Your goal is to become the expert, and we do that through exposure. Now, we've heard these three words in real estate. What are the most important words in real estate? We say location, location, and you guessed it, location. Can I challenge that thought process? My belief is that it's exposure, exposure, and guess what? Exposure. Because if you, as a real estate professional, now bear with me, if you expose yourself in the right way, then we know that you're going to get an unfair share of business. Think of it this way. How many of us know an inferior agent, someone who isn't as skilled, someone who doesn't have the morals, someone who doesn't abide by the code of ethics, have a loud mouth, and they're always in front of people, and they're just doing more business? And you say, well, man, that's not right. Well, it might not be fair, but that's what we call life. So I'm going to challenge you today to stop promoting your properties as much as you promote yourself. Tell people, hey, I'm the best at this, and here's how, or here's what I have to back that up. So we start talking about now the power of the first impression. We know that we have only a few seconds to grab and hold people's attention, to make them say, I think I like him. I think I could trust him. Right? And so now we talk about this first impression. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to go from A to D, we must put more thought into our first impression. And where is our first impression most likely happening today? It's probably going to happen digitally, right? Everyone should believe, especially as real estate agents, that the first impression that people have of us is going to be when they search us online. Have you done a search to find out what comes up when someone searches your name? Do you have anything that shows up? Are you only a silhouette on the London Foster page? Is your website robust? Are you taking advantage of those or not? Because if you are not, you're missing a huge opportunity. So here's an example of what I mean with the power of the first impression. Now, if I tell you, hey, I only believe in quality and everything I do is exceptional and luxury is my middle name, I am the expert, and you look at this photo, the first thing you're going to say is, that's a stock photo. He didn't even bother to pay for the actual account, right? And so this is what many of us are doing. We are saying, I'm an expert, but we don't know how to fill out a contract. We are saying, yes, use me, I'm the best, but we are unaware of the flood disclosure requirement that started October 1st of 2024. Right now, some of you are like, flood disclosure requirement for all real property. Yes, condos too, Neal, according to Florida Statute 689, yes, it is. And so now some of you are saying, okay, Florida Statute 689, flood disclosure, that's okay. But we must make sure that we study to show ourselves approved. We know about the buyer agreements. We don't know so much about these other things, about the proper disclosures or addenda that's necessary. And when we choose our niche market or our ideal client, we must know and care about what they care about. So my first impression can't be this, it must be this. Right? It must feel authentic. It must be genuine. Why? Because people in 2025, their BS meter is finely tuned. They can sniff out a fraud. They can sniff out and tell if someone is being genuine and authentic. Buyers and sellers know if you really care about the process. They will be able to tell if you're just a turn and burn real estate agent, if you're not going to follow up with them, if you really don't care about their family or the generational well-being of the decision that's going to happen with this sale or purchase. They can tell. And so now our first impression, it might be in something as simple as our marketing material. Do you have a home buyer or home seller book? For me, I'm making sure that I have something. So this one cost me about $18. A hard copy cost me $23. But guess what I know? I know that when I tell and when I leave this with my clients, my customers, talking about the home buying, the process when it comes to pricing, guess what they know? They know they have someone that cares about the quality. If I will show them in my first impression, the way I'm dressed, the way I speak, the voicemail, my voicemail says, hey, it's a great day to be world renowned. I'm currently serving other clients. I look forward to exceeding your expectations, right? Have you thought about or looked at it from the viewpoint of the people calling you? There is this thing called the perfect handshake. Ladies, I'm going to talk to you specifically. When it comes to handshakes, what we've learned is that most professional women lose business on the first handshake, especially with a male counterpart. And why is that? It's because your handshake is too strong, right? Why? Because immediately, if a female is with a male, if you're meeting with a male buyer or seller, you want to make sure you're not seen as weak, as that you're seen as a professional, someone who takes this thing serious. So you might give just a little bit too much, right? And what happens now? On the other side, the guy is going to think, she's kind of overbearing. Oh, that was kind of firm. I might not be able to deal with that. And this is the reality, right? And a lot of times, the word that comes to a guy's mind is not going to be a nice word. It's not going to be professional. It's not going to be, strong. It's going to be a nasty word, right? And so I want you all to understand. But there is this thing. If I practice my handshake, if I practice my presentation via Zoom, do I know how to navigate the software that we're going to use, or the systems or process? Do you know how to walk people through your professional opinion of value, or CMA, digitally, right? Have you? Now, I know that most of us, we're used to doing the paper CMA and where we give it to them and flip. Do you know how to do that on your computer remotely using Zoom or WhatsApp or anything else, right? Why? Because if I look like, sound like, feel like the real thing, now my integrity and my authenticity are intact. And here's what I tell people. Your goal is not to have more prospects or customers. You don't need more clients. Some of you are like, Neal, I did not hit my numbers last month, last year. I need more clients. No, you don't. Ladies and gentlemen, what we need are more friends. And I'm talking about real friends, right? So if you go through your day today, hopefully you've gone through and you know what your numbers are. You know how many contacts you need to have, how many appointments, how many agreements, whether it was a buyer or seller agreements, contracts, and then closing. If you know that, you need to be hopefully focused on, hey, how can I make this person a friend? How can I move this person from prospect to client, customer to friend? Because my best clients and customers become my friends. And here's what I've learned about my friends. My friends ensure that I win. Why? Because I'm a great friend. When Neal wins, every one of my friends win. So when Gloria or Sabina or Joan, when you ladies win, your friends are going to be like, hey, we need to make sure that she wins more frequently. Why? Because we are the caliber of professional, the caliber of person that makes sure that the tide, a rising tide, raises all boats. And so here's what I want you thinking about. We've heard of know, like, trust. Know, like, trust. We want people to like us. Okay, that's cool, right? So if you like us, okay. If you know us, that's a little bit better than like, right? So you like us, to be known in a big deal or in a big area is good. But when you are trusted, this is where that first impression starts to take on a new caliber, right? This is where all of a sudden people are saying, hey, yeah, I know my brother, I like my cousin, but I trust Joan, right? I trust Gloria, right? And so this is where we now move from those mediocre many and we join the ranks of who? The elite few. And that is going to be our goal. And here's what I will tell you. Prior to the pandemic, before the pandemic, good service was enough to make you an expert. Good service was enough to elevate you above the mediocre many. Well, can I tell you that now good service is not enough? How many of us here offer good service? We're all going to raise our hands. So there's going to be nothing that differentiates us from the rest of the sheep that are in our herd. So instead of good service, what must we do now? Now we have to deliver an exceptional experience. What does an exceptional experience look like? Well, I believe that it looks a lot like the idea that Walt Disney had. And Disney's idea of an exceptional experience is going to be you want them to enjoy it so much that they will go back and tell their friend. If you aren't having your clients, your customers, your friends tell their friends how amazing the experience was, then we have just missed it just a bit. So a memorable experience might be giving a token for the home buyer process. If they have kids, especially as we get ready for the spring, I know that I'm going to, with my buyer clients of these single family homes that are either waterfront or have acreage, especially the acreage homes where they have kids, I know that I'm going to have to go to the dollar store and get a lot of kites. Why? Because something as simple as a $3 kite increases and improves the experience. If my waterfront homes, I'm going to make sure if they have kids that they're going to get that little bucket and the pail. You all know the little corny stuff that we don't think works anymore, the things that we're tired of, that stuff works. And here's our goal. One of my mentors told me many years ago, if you can get people's heart, they will give you their money, right? If you get someone's heart, they'll give you their money. For my parents in here, how many times has someone been nice and endearing to your kid, and immediately you're saying, hey, whatever you want, you've got it, right? Or if you care about a specific team or an author, and someone says, hey, I know you love Anne Rice, so here's a book by Anne Rice. And now you're like, oh, they care about what I care about. Oh, what do you need? And then we find ourselves indebted to them. And so our goal, as we increase our level of expertise, there's this term that I have been using, that I was coached to use. It's called psychological debt. My job is to put each and every one of you in psychological debt. What does that mean? That means that I want all of you to be impressed, and I want you to get so much value from your time with me that you're like, man, I can't wait until I have an opportunity to repay Neal in some way, right? If I put you in because what do we know? I'm believing that if I sow the right seeds, if I treat my buyers, sellers, my colleagues, if I give them something to make the transaction easier or to make their life better, to make them feel good about themselves, make their time here on this spinning orb called Earth better, that it has to come back to me. And here's what I know about the good guys and gals. No one wants to be in debt. We are going to find some way to get now. Is that always the case? No, there are some jerks in this thing, but that's okay. We're in real estate. We might work with jerks, right? But what do we do know as a rule? Most of the time, if we do good to people, they're going to want to do good to us. So how can you put people in psychological debt? Not in a way that you manipulate, but that you just stack the odds in your favor. So for me, it's going to make sure that I give my buyers and sellers more information that they could ever use, that I make sure that the process is easy for them, that I reduce the level of stress or anxiety in selecting or choosing me. And how do we do that? Simple things, ladies and gentlemen, such as doing one-off videos. This is how we raise our expertise. It's not in doing anything phenomenal. It's just doing those little things that make a big difference. When was the last time you received a video message from a professional or from anyone where you just open up your text? Now, I'm Team Android, so go us. I know I ruin all of the iPhone and iOS chats as soon as I slide into the messaging, right? You all like, oh, we lost all of our functionality now. But what I'm doing a lot, and it just increases the view in people's minds of how professional I am. I'm going in. I might send Jessica a video message. Hey, Jessica, Neal here. Just wanted to say hi. Hope you're having a great week. If you need anything, let me know. and that's it, sending that video. Now, what I do know, and if we're going to be honest with ourselves, if we receive a video message, what's going to happen? We're going to watch the video, right? We're not going to say, like, even if we're in class, we could be in a closing for a difficult transaction. If we see a video message, we're going to make sure our sound is off. We're going to put our phone under the table, and we're going to say, well, I can't wait to see what that says. So there are ways that we can position ourselves as experts as we build this empire, this business, and to be recognized as the go-to realtor of choice. And yes, I saw Team Android in the chat. So Team Android, let's go. So now what we're going to look at in these last few minutes, there are 5 questions. There are 5 questions that every potential buyer or seller are going to ask you. And you, as an expert, should know how to answer these questions like an expert. So this is key. The first question is, what do you do? And you're going to say, Neal, that's an obvious answer. I sell real estate. Can I tell you that is the worst, most boring, mundane answer ever? It is too bland. What do you do? That's the first question that you must be able to answer like an expert. So when I work with my potential sellers, that's the bulk of my business for single family homes, waterfront, or with acreage, here's what I do, and I put it in my marketing book. I professionally market single family homes to the world and get them sold. Very concise, very specific. I professionally market single family homes to the world and get them sold. That's it. So if someone were to ask me as a realtor, Neal, what do you do? I professionally market homes to the world and get them sold. I say single family homes to the world and get them sold, right? So you have to answer that question concisely. What do you do? The second question they're going to ask, what makes you credible? Like, what makes you credible? What makes me comfortable hiring you, right? Before, especially in the buyer side of the business, prior to August of last year, what made us credible was, hey, you can hire me and someone else is going to pay me. No. We can't say that anymore, right? That's not the guarantee. Now we have to say, what do you do? What makes you credible? And this is where that exposure piece comes in. So one of the ways to become most credible is to be published or cited by some media platform. So have we been cited or published by some media platform? If the answer is no, I want you all to look at the screen really quickly. So what makes you credible? I want you all to look at the screen because I'm going to give you 2 places that I would love for you to go to immediately gain credibility. The first one, if you're in South Florida. If you're not in South Florida, we're going to go to another one next. Voyage MIA. You might say voyage. Voyage sounds sexier, right? So Voyage MIA, Miami's most inspiring stories. Why do we want to come to voyagemia.com? Right over here on this sandwich menu, you're going to see submit a story idea. But Neal, I don't have a story idea. Well, let me tell you what Voyage is saying. We are looking for talented local creatives, maybe not us, professionals, hold on, that's me, entrepreneurs, that's 2 checks, and businesses. All you are going to do is you're going to put your name, email, website, social media for you in here. Why would you do this? Even though it says they will not promise to reply to each submission, the media, they need new stories, new people, new content every single day. So you're going to want to come to Voyage MIA website, click on that sandwich menu, and then go to submit story idea. If you are not in South Florida, we're going to come to Canvas Rebel, canvasrebel.com. On the right side, you see nominations. And now, if you are in South Florida, here's my suggestion. Do Voyage and Canvas. So you're going to come to nominations. Does this screen, once it comes up, does this look sort of familiar? right? You're like, hold on, that looks just like the other one. Yes, it is. They have the same parent company. But here's why that's so important. Once you submit your information, you're going to get and have an opportunity to just fill a jot form or a form fill interview. And here's why this is so important. And I mentioned that you want to be seen as an authority, as an expert, and exposure is one of those ways so that we can add credibility, because now we come in. This is the thing. So for me, I am not, when people ask for my contact information, I don't send them first my real estate page. I send them Neal in the news. And why is that? If I am being seen in Florida Realtors, on Proxio, RPR, come down here. Shout out Miami is another one. Do you want to see Voyage and then Canvas Rebel? If I am seen as an expert, then people can come here and find out more about my real estate. So that's why I'm encouraging you all to go to Voyage, MIA, and Canvas Rebel. If you do that, good things are going to happen. So that second question of what makes you credible is going to be answered. So the first question is, what do you do? What makes you credible is number 2. That third question that all experts must be able to answer is, how do you get paid? How do you get paid? And remember, this might have changed since August of last year, right? How do you get paid? Don't assume that the general public knows. And here's what I would encourage you all to do in your mission statements as you position yourselves as expert. Go ahead and lead with this information, because we know it can be kind of unnerving for people to ask us how we're paid, who pays, how much we're paid. If we just lead with that information, it's going to appear as if we've done this before, that I am a big boy or a big girl, and I'm not afraid of those questions that others tiptoe and dance around. And then 4th, are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? Are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? Here's what I know as an instructor, but also as a realtor. There are many times I am not selected to help buyers or sellers, but more times than not, I am asked what my opinion is of the other person, of the other realtor. Now, we know violation of code of ethics to say anything bad, but what I do know is that people care about your reputation in this industry. Do you have a good reputation? Remember, we talked about that first impression. Do your social media profiles lend to the fact that you're known, liked, and trusted in the industry? A great way to help this and to add credibility. When Janet or London Foster are having networking events, make sure that you're seen photographed with some other professionals. Now you're thinking, well, why would I want to be seen photographed with other professionals? I don't know about you. I don't take many photos with jerks, rude, crude people, right? Many people don't want to take photos with other jerks or mean and crude people. So what do? They're going to say, well, if he's smiling and the people with him are smiling, they must be okay. Right now, be very careful. Make sure you check those photos before you upload them and someone isn't going like this in the background, okay? So after those first 4 questions, we want to ask, or we want to answer this question, because this is the one after. What do you do? What makes you credible? How do you get paid? Are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? This is what sets the bar higher for experts. What else do you bring to the deal or the relationship? What else do you bring to the deal or the relationship? If I say we have outstanding marketing, I have a team behind me, we have seamless integration because that's what London Foster has done. I'm educated because they bring trainers in. I'm knowledgeable. I have access to in-house title. I'm a phone call or text message away from fantastic people. That's what I bring to the deal besides helping you buy or sell, right? And so that's what we want to make sure that we do. If we do that consistently, Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to win. We are going to rise above what I call the mediocre many. We're going to join the ranks of the elite few, and we're going to position ourselves as not a real estate agent, but as the realtor expert of choice. And if we are seen as the, life gets easier. Life gets better. We get more peanuts and pennies in our pockets more consistently. And if we're being honest, that's why we're here. That's why you all are here in this training. It's not because you had nothing else to do. That's a lie. We probably have more things. No, we definitely have more things than our calendars have room for, right? It's